Good morning, everybody. Have another video here of the Lexus. This time I'm going to focus on the Prinsu Roof Rack for the Lexus GX460. Not a lot of these on Lexuses running around on the road, but definitely starting to see a lot more interest in them. Have seen a couple on the road, but not too many, at least not here in Texas. Saw a couple in Moab a couple of weeks ago, but still pretty rare here in Texas. But anyway, wanted to show you the roof rack. I wanted to show you how I installed it. I'll give you some lessons learned, and it's been on the car for several months now, so I can give you some of my observations as well. It was really easy to put together, so I'm not going to go into detail about putting this thing together. It's pretty straightforward. The only thing I would recommend is that you do read the instructions first. I made a couple of missteps along the way. Could have saved myself some time if I had just read the instructions. Also use a cordless drill with the right attachment, and you'll save yourself some time and wear and tear on your fingers. So anyway, with that, let's get started. All right, first I'm going to give you a walk around just so you can take a look at it. You can see here that I've got the roof rack on. I have a light bar on here. That's aftermarket, so that's not included in the roof rack. I also have the wind reduction kit on here that really puts a nice tight seal between the roof rack and the body of the car. So as I walk around, you'll see here that it really gives a nice low profile look for the car. Really sits down nice on the roof. And in a minute, I'll show you the top of the roof rack. You'll see that there's a lot of different bars that you can use for attaching things to the roof. You can see I also have some other items on the roof rack. I'll go into those here in a moment. So some of the items that you're seeing on the roof rack here are not standard. I'll point those out along the way. All right, here's the view from the roof line. I'm in the back of the vehicle here, standing up on the rear bumper. So as you can see, there's, I believe, 9 standard crossbars. That includes the one that sits right up against the light bar. But as you can see, these screw in, and the great thing about the Prinsu roof rack is that it has slots here, and these take T-nuts. You can look on the interwebs and find all kinds of neat accessories that use the T-slot and T-nut application. So a lot of great applications there. I'll show you some pictures later on of how I've used it in the past, but I've really found it to be a great solution, really flexible. Really no shortage of ways that you can use this for storing things on your roof. Super secure, very easy to attach items to the roof. And once you have them on there, very secure, they don't rattle. Really great product. So anyway, you can see here the way that this attaches. There are bolts, 2 each for each foot, that go into the roof here. And what happens is you actually take off the factory roof rack, and the Prinsu roof rack uses the factory mounting holes. So you do not have to drill any new holes into your roof, which is really great because you always need to worry about leaks and water penetration when you talk about drilling into your roof. One thing that I will tell you, this was a lesson learned for me, is you definitely need to use silicone for the holes here when you put those bolts in. And I would encourage you to use more silicone than you think you will need. I used it the first time and ended up not using enough, and then I had to come back after I had some water penetration and ended up having to put even more silicone on the holes there. So definitely make sure that you use enough. You can see here underneath the foot that there's actually a black spacer in there. It's a piece of, I think it may be aluminum, that allows the foot to sit up above this little lip in the body. This is the rain gutter, the lip of the body. Here's the foot of the roof rack. One thing I noticed and had to deal with is that it was not enough room between the foot and the body, and I ended up having to use washers. I think I had to use 1 washer on each of the bolts. That is only on the rearmost foot. All the others seemed to be fine. It was just this rearmost foot that I had to do that. So underneath each one of these bolts, underneath the foot here, but between the spacer and the foot, there is a a washer between there just to raise it up a little bit. All right, here we are at the front of the car, and you can see here that the mounting feet, there's 3 on each side. Again, they just bolt into the factory holes. One thing I will point out is that this little rubber gasket right here covers the drip channel on the roof, and you end up actually separating it right about here. You can see right here where I've separated that. It's actually, it comes in 2 pieces, so I didn't have to cut it. It just came apart when I took it off. Took the factory roof rail off. Now, one thing I've noticed, and you can even see a little bit of residue here from tape that I've had to use, this thing will flutter in the wind. And you can see here, I actually still need to silicone this down so that it will stay attached to the roof. If you don't, this thing will flutter. In Texas, we've got really high speeds on our highways. We can drive easily 85, 90 miles an hour. And at those speeds, this thing will flap around, even come out like this, and ends up being quite obnoxious. So I would definitely encourage you to use silicone to make sure that that is properly attached. One thing I'll also point out, according to the factory design, there is a spacer, a roof rail that would go across here, just like this one right here, but it blocks your sunroof. So I ended up taking mine off. You don't have to. You can certainly keep it there, or you could even put it somewhere else along the roof rack here, because you can put those basically wherever you want to. But I do like having an open sunroof. So I ended up removing mine, and it's just sitting in the garage. As I mentioned earlier, I have the wind reduction system here, which is basically a gasket that slips on. It's hard on top, but it is rubbery on the bottom. And so that allows for it to really suck up well against the body of the vehicle. And as you can see, there's no light coming through. There's no gaps there. So really helps to reduce any kind of whistling noise that you might experience if you didn't have that on there. So definitely highly recommend adding that on. I think it's about a $20 or $30 option. One thing you'll also notice is I have a light bar here. Now this wind deflector here, the front screen, you have 2 options. You can get one that has the cutout for the light bar, or you can get the one that is just straight across, no cutout for the light bar. Doesn't matter which one you go with, they're both great products. I just happen to want the light bar, so I went with the one that has the cutout for the light bar. I've installed here the Caliraised LED bar. I'll put the link in the notes here so that you have a link to it. I've been very pleased with it. I haven't used it a ton, but I have used it some out in the field. Very bright, doesn't whistle. You can hear a little bit of wind noise, I'll be honest. It's not enormous, but you know, and I'll be honest, it's a lot less wind noise than the light bar I have on my Jeep Wrangler. So I've been pleased with it. It is, you know, pretty low profile when you look at the side cross section here. Been pleased with how it integrates. Obviously not a lot of gaps there. So pretty streamlined, very efficient from a space usage perspective. And from a wiring perspective, in case you're wondering, so I'll show you here, the wire actually comes down here. I have it zip tied underneath this bar, comes down here. You can actually see it coming down right there, goes through this drip channel, and then comes down this windshield trim into the car. So that's how I ran the wiring for the light bar. As I mentioned, I have a couple of options on here. The first are these scene lights. I ordered them off of Amazon. Nothing special about them. Pretty cheap, just LED lights. They're pretty bright. And I have them wired separately for the left and right side so that I can turn them on independently. And the only thing I would change about these is next time I would get yellow instead of white. The white color really has a tendency to attract insects. And I've heard that the yellow color does not do that. So next time I would go with the yellow. In fact, I'm probably going to switch these out to the yellow color before my next camping trip. From a wiring perspective, it's not the prettiest yet. So you can see here where the wiring comes out and basically runs down the length of this side rail. The wiring is fine, but I have a wire groom that I will cover those wires with, and I just haven't put them on there yet. That'll really help clean it up. And I'm a little bit concerned that, you know, potentially when I'm going through a trail, a limb could get caught in these wires and end up ripping it off. So I want it to be a little smoother, a little more streamlined, and I think the wired groom will help fix that problem. Another option I'll show you that does not come with the roof rack are these QuickFist holders right here. They come in all kinds of different styles. I think this is the 2 1/4 model, but you can put different kinds of things in here, and this will cinch up tight on that and hold it in there. So I use this side for an axe. Does a great job of holding my axe, which I use, that's probably the tool I use the most out on the trail, just for clearing any limbs that might be hanging down or from the side of the road. Really easy to just take an axe out, chop it down. But these do a great job of holding them on there, and have not heard or noticed any wind noise coming from it when I either have it empty like right now, or when I have an axe being held in there. Sometimes I'll put some on the other side and use it to hold a shovel. Sometimes I'll just mount the shovel to the top of the roof. Kind of depends on what the trip is and what I am carrying with me. I wanted to show you real quick how you put bolts in here. So basically, this is a bolt that I bought from the hardware store. I'll try to remember what exactly this is called, but you get a sense for what that top looks like. These are cheaper than the specialized T-nuts that you buy online, and they perform the same function, but basically they sit down in this channel right here, and then they just slide in. You can't pull them off, so they are pretty firm in there, but the great thing is you can slide them to any point along the rail that you need for your particular load. You can put multiples of them in there. You can put them in this side, and in some cases, not this particular type of bolt, but you can put them on the side. There's a little bit of a different type of bolt that you can use there. But the great thing is, once you get it in there like this, I actually use this one for my traction mats. I mount them to the roof. I set my traction mats down on there in holes that I've cut, and then I just use this 5-star knob here. Run that down, tighten up the traction mats, run down the road with it, never have an issue with it. It's a really, really flexible system. Definitely highly recommend it. Gives you lots of ways to mount cargo to the roof. These rails are incredibly strong. I don't know what the max weight load is. You should contact Prinsu for that information, but I've put high lift jacks on here. I've put Pelican cases full of gear on top of here. I've put shovels. I've put traction mats. I've put other things on there and never had any concern or challenge with the weight load of these rails. So really strong material, really great product, really strong. Definitely have a lot of confidence in the design and the product that Prinsu puts out. All right, so that's the walkthrough of my Prinsu Roof Rack. Like I said, I've really enjoyed it. Very impressed with the product. Very easy to install. Haven't really noticed an excessive amount of wind noise up top. Would highly recommend it. I'm not sponsored by them, but just wanted to show you what the product looks like, and definitely give you a sense for what it is like to get it installed, and then how you can use it once you have it on your vehicle. I would say that the only lesson learned that I have from using it now is definitely use silicone on the mounting bolts. Definitely use silicone on the drip channel and the windshield trim so that they don't flutter in the wind and try to fly away. But otherwise, I've had no challenges, no concerns, or no problems with the roof rack. Hope you enjoy it. Hope this helps you. Have a great day.